son, that red light is on.
Red lights on, baby.
Red lights on.
What up, punks? Welcome back to another episode of the Pop Culture Punks podcast, where we bring pop culture to the pit for you every week.
Every week.
I'm your host, Phil, and across from me is your boy,
Josh.
And this week we will be talking about a little happy accident that happened.
A little happy
accidents, baby.
Baby. I wasn't sure how you would pronounce that because I think it's... I was like, I don't think it's Bay because that'd be B-A-Y. But
yeah, I spelled it Bay on here. I assumed that's what you were trying to say.
No, I was trying to say...
Bye-bye.
Happy accident, baby, and somehow I said like happy accident, baby. So
I interpreted that's actually what you meant, and I added a letter.
Not at all. I was trying to spell baby, and I accidentally put an extra A after the B.
Oh gosh, that's great.
Bye.
So yeah, we had a little happy accident. We were planning a little news update / pop culture update kind of chill episode, and then what do you know? The Game Awards were this week, so that ended up. So yeah, we're talking the Game Awards this week. We'll go through some of the awards and whether we agree with them or not, and then talk about the whole thing. But before we get into that, jump into the usual. What you been up to this week?
Not a ton, but I got some fun things on the list. So I happened to just accidentally stumble upon a song that Mike Shinoda just released, or it was a single from his recent album, and it had
a new single, like a B-side sort of thing.
No, so it was just a single from his current album that he just released, Post Traumatic, and it had him, Che, what's his last name? It's like Che from Deftones, I think, and MGK. So those three, and I was like, ooh, that's quite the combo. Right. And I listened to it, and it was really good. And so as a result of that, I went back and listened to his full album, Post Traumatic, and man, dude, it's so heavy, but it's so good because it's basically like a lot of the songs are specifically addressing Chester's death and him just kind of processing through it and stuff.
Chino Moreno,
yeah. So it's Shinoda. What's the song? But yeah,
I got it up here. It is Liftoff, featuring Chino Moreno and Machine Gun Kelly.
Yep, yeah, phenomenal song.
All right, let's check that.
But the whole album is really, really good.
Did he just release that?
It's pretty new, I think.
He released it in June.
Yeah.
I think he released it, he wrote it and released it, really quick after Chester died. Because I remember
it's phenomenal.
Hearing a couple songs, thinking, like I couldn't listen to it because I was like, I'm still too sad about the whole thing. That was the first time a celebrity died where I, actually cried.
Yeah, it was dang.
Yeah.
But, it's a phenomenal album.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
There's a lot of hip-hop in it, but there's also some just kind of melodic. I didn't realize how much Shinoda did just vocals, just melodic vocals.
He can sing
too.
pretty well.
He's got some pipes, so it's a really heavy album. I mean, I wasn't overly emotional, but it's very raw, just straight up what he's feeling and what he was going through, and I think a lot of the stuff that he was dealing with people just constantly bringing it up and just checking in, and him feeling like, thanks for checking in, but I'm trying to
reminding
you exactly every other day you're bringing this horrible pain back in. And so, but yeah, man, this is one of those albums where it's this is what music was meant for. Music was meant to process really complex things in a way that is just nice to listen to, and it's, I don't know,
for sure.
So, but yeah,
cool.
So really digging that. I saw on Twitter that Demon Hunter is releasing not just one but two. I don't know what, I think it's probably pretty similar to what Five Finger Death Punch did with Wrong Side of Heaven, Righteous Side of Hell, Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
So they're completely different albums, completely different songs. But Demon Hunter's doing that. So Life and Death. So the first album is Life, and the second album is Death.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
I'm real excited.
It's been a long time since their last album, hasn't it? So hopefully
Outlive just came out this year, or
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Let me see.
Man, they're cranking out them tunes. Hopefully it's not
2017.
Usual
Outlive,
double albums where it's kind of you probably could have done one.
Yeah, dude. I was listening. I went back and listened to Outlive because that came out last year.
I honestly did not know that.
It's so good.
Man,
it's very different from their other stuff. The way,
because I loved Extremist when that came out.
Dude, Extremist is probably my favorite album by them.
Yeah, that was super good.
But the way they mixed Ryan's vocals on Outlive was very different than normal, and so it's almost got 80s 90s tinge to it, and just how he's singing, and he doesn't he like doesn't just jump into screaming at points that you think he would, and he actually has this kind of, you know, he kind of jumps into the clean vocals first. Dude, it's so good.
I'll check that out.
There's some great jams on there.
Cool.
But yeah, so needless to say, I was really freaking stoked that they're releasing 2 albums next year out of it. And so I retweeted that on Twitter, and I was like, oh boy, going into 2019, horns up, and I had like the 2 little horn emojis, and
they liked it.
Got that Demon Hunter like. So I was
saw
like,
that.
oh yes, let's go.
Dude, nice.
So it doesn't mean anything, but it's pretty dope. So I'm really excited. Demon Hunter is probably one of my all-time favorite bands, like top 5. So and
good stuff.
No, if you're a metalhead and you haven't listened to Demon Hunter, get on it. Their whole library is just brutal. Like so many good songs. So that's from the music side. Netrunner, the card game. So I just picked that up. So the bummer is I just found out about it as it died, which sucks. But it's a card game kind of like Magic the Gathering, but it's more contained, I think. And just
you just buy expansions rather than booster packs and individual cards.
Yep.
And stuff.
And so the one bummer is the company that produces it, there was like some legal rights battles of who owned it, I guess. And so they killed it. So
I think it was created by, actually, I think this is what Chris told me. It was created by Richard Garfield, I think, who was the guy who created Magic.
Yes.
And Fantasy Flight, I believe,
I think is the one who produces it.
And now I think the rights have reverted back to Magic the Gathering. And so, or Wizards of the Coast, not Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast. And actually, they might continue it. I don't know. I don't remember what he said. He's more in tune with that stuff since he actually has worked
I
in
haven't.
a card
the last
store,
I checked is just this year in like the summer. I think they finalized that they weren't pushing any more expansions, which sucks because one, you're not going to get any additional content, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff out there already, and that means that everything is kind of like level right now. So I jumped on the bandwagon and got the it's the revised edition, I think, which is the new and updated version. I found it on what it was like Miniature Market, I think. I have the box right here.
Oh, that's what that box is?
Yeah.
Big old box.
Miniature Market. And I found it for like $40, which is the cheapest I found it, and it comes with like 250 cards and a bunch of stuff, and I think you can find packs for like $10 for the expansions and stuff, so if you're interested in it,
much more affordable.
Yes. And it is a cyberpunk themed game, I heard that the creation behind it was actually inspired by Neuromancer, so some of the exact verbiage and stuff, like ice, which is, I can't remember the what it means, but it's like a
whatever it means.
It's super cool, but it's like a can't even think of that word too. I'm not even gonna try. It uses a lot of the terminology from Neuromancer, so William Gibson's book, and it's got this whole theme behind it, and it's all about like runners and, you know, like code breakers and like corporations, and it's a runner versus a corporation, and it's like a 1v1 card game, and super cool. So I'm really excited. I think there's a lot of stuff I'm gonna have to learn in the nuances of the game, but it's a cyberpunk themed card game, and it just ended, so if you're interested at all, I would suggest looking into it and trying to find it somewhere before
it drives up in price.
I wouldn't be surprised if Wizards of the Coast or whoever took the license back does continue it, but I could imagine it being a year before they kind of settle all the legal stuff, and then they jump back into it. So now's the time. So stoked on that. But the big bang this weekend on Thursday, I guess Thursday at midnight. That
did you pick it up midnight?
Unbelievable. No, I didn't. Okay. I really wanted to, but I was just like, I'm gonna hate myself, and I don't have the time.
Then you have to go through the whole day of Friday.
Oh my gosh,
knowing it's at home.
Yeah. Super Smash Brothers, baby. Bye-bye. Super Smash Brothers, bye-bye. Came out on Friday, and dude,
honestly, that was another thing I hadn't considered, like, because we've been doing all these reviews and stuff at the end of the year, and that was one thing we never planned for some reason. So,
dude, I was looking at we're talking Game of the Year and all the awards in a second, but all those games on that list are so lucky that Smash didn't come out like a month sooner. Yeah, because that would have won,
especially the more competitive.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it is. Having played it, I played it probably like 3 or 4 hours Friday night, and then probably another 3 or 4 hours Saturday. Man, dude, it is hands down the best And I thought the Wii U Smash Bros was the best one, and then I was like, they're probably gonna beat that one out with this one, and they absolutely did. Like some of the mechanics, I was just watching a video that they added actually like deter you from spamming moves, so you're in trouble when it comes to that Charizard
I'll
blast.
Figure out how.
Yep. So they have like mechanics built in. So they have, I think it's called like scaling. So if you use the same move over and over, the damage it does actually diminishes, which is unbelievable. Like that's
so I'm gonna have to actually
genius.
figure out how to play the game.
Correct.
At least I'll own it for the first time in ever.
That's true. So there's like a parry mechanic too. It's so good, and it was so I invested in. There's like the one bummer is for the majority of the GameCube controllers, you need the dock, which needs the USB things. So if you want to play, just like in handheld, it's probably not going to be. You have to use the things on the side, but there is one. I think it's Hori makes it, and it's a wireless Bluetooth GameCube controller, and I used that Friday. Flawless, unbelievable.
You bought the wireless Bluetooth one?
Yeah,
dope, dude.
So, it's fantastic.
Except it's a GameCube controller, so it's trash.
We're
sorry, this ain't a Tilt Brigade episode.
This ain't a Tilt Brigade. It's always gonna. You're just wrong. Like it's okay. You just don't know.
It's okay to have wrong opinions.
It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like you're just wrong. That's just how it is. I can't do anything about that. But
when we play Thursday, I'm using my Pro controller.
Oh, I'm gonna destroy you. See, that's.
I mean, GameCube Pro controller. I'm gonna lose either way. So. Because I play as Puff Daddy.
That's fair.
I just like being able to float around.
Yeah, I was thinking about it because I had to pick it up in Milwaukee because they were out like everywhere in Madison. So
really?
Yeah, so we were in Milwaukee this past weekend.
2 months ago at Best Buy. So
or not the game, but the GameCube controller, the wireless one.
Okay. Like,
and there's part of me where I was like, man, do I want to go through all this trouble to get this? And I was like, no. One, I'm playing my brother and my cousin tonight, and I was like, they're gonna destroy me on this. And I was like, then the other thing.
So did you have to get online then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did invest in it, but it was kind of one of those things of like for the $20 entry fee.
It's the first game where
this
was
the final time where I was like,
yeah.
exactly. And for the most part, it was really good. It was a lot of fun. We had a blast.
Was there like lag or anything playing online? Input lag or anything?
Yes. But it was very weird. Like there were a couple times so I played with Zach, who's in Japan, and my cousin who was in Madison, and I was in Milwaukee. And there were a couple matches where we got like 10 seconds in and it cut out. And it just completely crashed. And then there were matches where we went 5 matches back to back to back to back that were flawless, like perfect speed, no issues at all. So I was thinking it was probably one of our internet connections. I think because we were visiting my parents this weekend.
I think they might use peer-to-peer, like Call of Duty does, which kind of craps out sometimes.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if because there was a couple points where like when I was playing right in the morning when I got up, there was no one else using like Hulu or on any devices, and it was like I was able to just jump on the because I was trying to unlock all the characters, and so I was jumping on a bunch of stuff, and all those matches went great. Like I had no issues, but as soon as like someone like turned on Hulu or went on their phone, like it was a laggy mess. So I'm assuming it's more of
hopefully they figure
my
out how
internet
to fix
issue.
That and patch it.
Yeah, I think it was more of my internet issue than anything. So I'm kind of curious to try it out at home here just to.
There's better internet.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Okay. But yeah, it's such a flawless game.
All right.
But I have one major gripe with it, and it's not a game breaker or a game. It has nothing to do with how the game is designed, how it looks. It looks amazing. Like how detailed all the characters are and just how much they amplified the style and everything is unbelievable. It's so good. But I was infuriated by how many characters you had to unlock and all the things that they did. Yeah, like
my question is like, are there cheat codes? Like if you wanted to just cheese
not
it?
that I know. And from
Did
what
you
I
look it up,
understood,
or?
I Googled and YouTubed all Friday afternoon just to
maybe
check
there
and
is
see.
and nobody's figured it out yet.
Could be.
Usually people figure that stuff out pretty quick.
Right. So that's my one major gripe with it is you only
I'll have
start
to get Evan
with
to unlock
6.
them for me because there ain't no way I'm doing that.
Well, and here's the thing: is like there is a quick way. So I was able to do it fairly quickly. Like it took me like maybe 5 hours to do it. But the frustrating thing is I had to do this kind of like stupid exploit that felt kind of dirty. Like I didn't want to do it this way, but I was like, I'm not playing classic mode, because that was the other thing is if you played classic mode, and just after every time you do that, you'd get a fight, but it takes like 5 to 10 minutes to do that, and you're talking about 60+ plus characters.
Do you have to unlock pretty much all of them?
Yes. Yeah. So you start out with 6 people.
Yeah, that's kind of sketch.
So you start out with 6 characters, and the way I play this game is the majority of the time with friends. And so I'm not just gonna, hey dudes, let's go play, and like we have 6 people to play as. Like the whole reason we wanted to play this game is so that, you know, one dude can play as Ridley, the other guy can try out, you know, Simon or Richter, and then dude can play like Isabel. I don't know.
Can you do this classic mode with people, like, and unlock characters? It has to be single player?
Yep. So the only other way that you can do it, this is what I did, that kind of like tricks the system, is you can, how did I have to start it? So you do a couple matches, and then like a fighter will appear, and so what you can do is you can set stock 1, set it to a minute, and then I think you can actually just jump off the map and it still counts. I actually,
so if you
like,
lose,
did the
you
fight.
Still unlock the character?
Right. It counts the match. And then at the end it has like, because the way Smash Bros has always done it to unlock characters is you have to fight that character, and then if you beat them, then you unlock them.
Yeah, they've, because I remember Mark saying in Brawl or the GameCube one, whatever that is, you had to like you had to beat the campaign with every character to get
Melee
Mewtwo or something.
Yeah, Melee was
so
intense.
I guess this is an improvement on that.
Well, but here, yeah, and I think that is a very fair point. But at the same time, like I remember as a kid, you know, randomly finding out about characters that you could unlock and all the crazy stuff you had to do to get them. But at that point, you had like 25 people to bat. Like it wasn't.
So if there was a larger starting roster,
I think if you started like
crazier
exactly.
things,
So I think if I had to only unlock, you know, maybe like 30 or like half the roster, but I got like because this is what they did with, I think it was Brawl and with the Wii U version, is they didn't give you all the new characters that you could play as, but they gave you like 2 or 3. So you got to try some of the new people and have a lot of the old people, but you still had a majority. This just pissed me off so much that you had to unlock 63 people. Like that's a stupid amount of time.
Your gameplay was just unlocking
it was literally just doing this exploit where
But I guess what else are you going to, like, is there more to do other than just play the game?
Right, which is fair. But at the same time, like the reason I wanted to play this is like I wanted to just jump online and play with Zach
like
in Japan.
I guess if you're playing online,
he's going to play K. Rool, I'm going to play Richter. And it's like, but I can't do that because I have to go through this whole mess of unlocking all these people, which took me like 8 hours to do, which to me is too much time. Like for what this is and the way I play this, and I think the majority of people play it, way too much time in my opinion. And people will disagree and they'll be like, well, you know, just play the game. And I'm like, I don't have time to play the game, because the other things I was reading
there ain't no way I'm playing that much
right
time.
Well, and the other thing I was reading is that the only way you can unlock it also, there's a couple ways you can unlock everyone. One is to play classic mode, which would have taken probably twice as long. So instead of 8 hours, it would have been closer to 16, because I would have had to do, you know, classic mode 63 times at like about 10 minutes a pop. So, you know, you're talking like...
That almost makes me not want it.
It's really like, frustrating.
In my mind, the only reason I want the game is for like social situations. So like I own Mario Kart 8, but I don't play it unless I'm like hanging out with friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And like if I have to play the game for like 16 hours just to get all the characters, like...
Right. So here's,
but maybe Evan will play it
So here's the thing that you can do that actually expedites it quite a bit. So like I said, it probably took me like 5 to 8 instead, and I think you can do it like over a couple days and it's pretty quickly. So the way that I did it that worked pretty well and was really quick is you set the settings to 1 minute, 1 stock, and if you just fight for like 15 seconds and then just jump off the map, the round ends. And then at the end of that round, it'll say new challenger appears. So you fight the challenger, you beat them. And then what you do is right from there, you hit the home button and you close out the game. And so what that does is usually it has a 10-minute timer before a new fighter appears. But if you close out the game and go back in, it resets the timer. So then what you do is
like
you
on
just
Pokemon
rinse,
Go,
repeat.
you can, instead of watching your Pokemon evolve, you can just close the app and reopen it, and it expedites the process. Saves you like 2 minutes.
Must be. So that's essentially like what you can do, and then you just rinse, repeat that and do that over and over and over until, you know, and I think there were a couple times where I tried it and it didn't work, but then that was where one of the other timing mechanics came in, is you actually have to travel a certain amount of distance on the map before a new fighter will appear. So what I did is I just jumped online and played like 4 or 5 people for like 20 minutes, and that reset it, and then I was able to get like 10 more characters doing that over the course of like an hour, and I just rinse, repeat. Okay. So there are ways to do it. I was just incredibly frustrated. Like, I don't think I would have had the...
I feel like they should have included a cheat code for people who like just want to like have all the characters and play the game with their friends and not have to actually like...
I think that they should have just flat out included the whole roster from the Wii U version and then have you do that system for all the new characters. Because they added like 15 new people. Like, it's not like, oh, well, you know, there's only like 3 people that they added, so it's not a big deal. It's like, no, that still would have taken a lot of time to do that. Or like, that's when you... Because that's the thing with Melee that I loved is a lot of the characters you just unlocked naturally. Because you did just play the game, but some of them were challenge based. But by the time it rolled around to do those challenges, you had like 30, 40 characters anyway. So you weren't like starving for people to play. But when I jump in and I only have 6 people to play, as none of which who I play consistently, I'm like, this is dumb. And I have to sit here for 8 hours and go through this just to have all the people that I want to try out. Like, that's just, it's a waste of time to me. And so that was the only really, really, really frustrating thing I have with this game. And it's because I want to play it. Like, I want to play it so bad and just experience the way I remember it. But
it's kind of good to know.
Yeah.
It almost makes me not want it.
It's 100% still worth it. I think it's one of those things where it might be because you're not a diehard fan.
Yeah, I don't like fighting games, and I've never been good at Smash, so it's kind of like the only reason I'm getting it is for the same reason I have Mario Kart. It's just fun to bring to social situations. Sure. But usually you're also there, so...
Right. So my recommendation is still pick it up because it is
I definitely already picked it up. So.
Yeah, so I think what I would recommend, especially if you're not a diehard fan of Smash, is just take your time with it. Maybe do that exploit for like an hour or 2 if you have it, and then just like... don't do it until the next day, and then just pace yourself. Because we're meeting up with friends this Thursday and playing it, so I was like, I need to literally get this because this is the only chance I have. So I think that's also what compounded that frustration is like I had to do it for 6 hours straight because
you needed to get
I needed to get everybody for when I'm hanging out with my friends. And so I think if I didn't have that pressure, and I was like, I'm not playing with anyone for the next like month. Like, I'll just do this for a half hour and then just play with the people.
That's probably what I'll do because you're always going to have it. So, and there's usually no situation where like I'm playing a game with someone and you're not there. So.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, but that's my only gripe. Otherwise it is hands down. Like, I think, to be honest, this is probably the most new player friendly game in a lot of ways. I think just because it feels a lot more, it feels a lot faster. And I feel like because there's such a big roster, there's a lot of people who, they have such different, and this has been the case for all the games, I guess, but there's such a different feel, I feel, for the characters and just how much you can just jump in and feel competent.
Is there anybody, I didn't keep up with it completely. Is there anybody on the game that you didn't realize was going to be on it?
No, like, I knew everybody.
We already knew all the characters?
I already knew all the characters. So there are 5 DLC characters that are coming out over the course of next year, I think. Which they already announced one at the Game Awards, so there's 4 left, and the one they announced, holy frick, dude!
You want to do it now or get to it? Get to it towards the end.
No, I think it's perfect for the conversation. Yeah. But so they announced that Joker, so the main protagonist from Persona 5, is going to be an official fighter in Smash Ultimate.
Please bring Persona 5 to Switch.
I'm really hoping that that's what that means, or that when
I woke up and saw that text from you, I was like, does that mean, like, because I didn't watch the whole show, so I was like, does that mean they announced that and I missed it? And I was like super hyped, but then I saw that they didn't announce it or anything.
Yeah, I really hope that
because all the other games I think are on handheld now, other than P5. So
yeah, and I
never got to play it because it was just
I just don't have the it's inconvenient
not being able to like save when you want.
Right, because I think Zach said he put in like over 100 hours into that game.
Most people it was like 100 160.
Yeah,
it's
which
like I'm trying my darndest to get through Red Dead, and I'm only 55%
right
through.
Yeah, and with how much time you've plugged into
I've been playing a lot of time. Like I'm no slouch.
Yeah, so I really hope that means the only snag I could see is that it's technically a Sony exclusive right now because of it's not on any other platform. Like it's literally only on PS4 and PS3. But I wonder
got the character somehow. So
right. So that's what I'm wondering is if they're going to use that to boost sales again, because there's going to be a whole slew of people that are going to do that. And I thought there's a Shin Megami Tensei game that's coming out to the Switch, so I wonder if
5,
they see that as a potential way to just kick up sales by Because the Vita, Lord knows they're not porting it to the Vita. So if they port
I
it
honestly
to
would not
Switch,
be surprised if it comes.
Yeah, I really hope it does, because that would probably get me to play it, is just the convenience of being able to take it and play.
Because with the Vita, when I played 4,
Yep.
it was nice. Like, I didn't have to save. I just sleep and then charge. And, like, I trusted that it would be fine. With the Switch, I can do the same thing. Like, sleep, dock. Boom,
Yeah,
done.
exactly.
And then you don't have to worry about saving.
Yep.
Whereas, like, it just doesn't let you save whenever you want, which is
Exactly.
annoying.
And so when you have to sit there for 2 hours, or like the
all right,
minimum time,
let
I'm
me
gonna
get to
play.
the next save point, Evan, and then an hour later, like, I'm almost there, I promise.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not very frequent, at least
No.
in P4 it wasn't. So.
Yeah. And so I think, I thought you could save wherever in P4, but maybe I was wrong. No, I guess you're right.
Unless I missed something.
It's been a while since
chances
I played
are
that
I could have
game.
missed something because I didn't get the fast travel in Red Dead until like 30% in. So
yeah, so unbelievable game.
Okay.
So excited for
All
who all the new DLC characters are, especially if freaking Joker from Persona 5 is the dude who made the list. Like, I'm willing to bet that Banjo and Kazooie are on that list, and I'm going to lose my freaking mind.
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
So
because Phil Spencer has said multiple times, like, yes, we would.
Yes. So I really hope. If that's how wide the scales are, like, I'm really
I mean,
curious.
if the first one they announced is the one that nobody ever would have guessed,
exactly.
Hopefully the other 4 are as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than Banjo and Kazooie, which people definitely have guessed.
But I mean, people have been asking for them. But again, that's been one of those where that would be pretty wild. So
apparently, I think Sakurai is his name.
Yep.
I think he said that the DLC characters, Nintendo is the one that chooses those.
Yes.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they're like reaching further than he might.
Definitely.
So
yeah, which is awesome. So I really hope they're top tier.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it
all
for me. Yep.
I don't have a ton either. Because I've been basically. It's confusing because the timeline is off now. So
right.
Next week you'll hear what I've been doing the last 2 weeks. But this week I found a couple of YouTube channels. There's one called Girlfriend Reviews, which is just really funny. Like, it's kind of like a backhanded way of reviewing games, and she reviews them as like, should your boyfriend play this game? And then she kind of reviews them as a spectator rather than as a person who plays it. And there's only like 5 videos, but she went from like 0 to 100,000 subscribers in like a week. So everybody's like loving it for some reason, and I found it. And she's got like God of War, Red Dead Redemption, Dark Souls, Spider-Man, most of the big titles.
Yeah.
So it's really funny. And then I found another YouTuber called Skill Up, and he does like really in-depth reviews, like 45-minute long, like deep dives.
Nice.
Like for God of War, he did one that was like super deep, intense into like the history of the God of War franchise, and he kind of like does that with everything, kind of like making video games seem like more than just like an entertainment piece, but rather like a whole art performance almost. Cool. It's very interesting. He's really good. Little news item that I figured we wouldn't get to in any depth, but the Endgame trailer came out. Yes. Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
So
the feels.
I'm gonna cry during that movie.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be I'm
gonna cry.
Yeah, they had one shot of Cap tearing up, and I was like, oh no!
And they shaved his beard.
Yeah.
So yeah, that came out, and then the last thing was I watched this movie called Sorry to Bother You. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I feel like I have, but
it was one of those movies that I thought it kind of just looked dumb. Like, it's about this guy he gets a job as a telemarketer, and it's hard to explain, but like, you think it's going to be dumb, but it's like this really weird, surreal sci-fi film actually. And it's like, it's hard to explain, but I would definitely recommend watching it. I think it's on Hulu right now. So
okay, cool.
It's good.
I'll check it out.
It's rated R, so it's got some stuff in it, but
nice.
It was a very interesting movie where like everything makes sense when it happens, but it catches you off guard. Like, you're just like, whoa, I didn't realize this was this kind of movie. Like, it's just weird sci-fi. Like, it feels surreal for the longest time, and then all of a sudden something happens and you're like, what? The heck? Holy cow.
Nice.
It's an interesting commentary on like workers and corporations and different things. So
awesome.
Yeah, so that's mainly what I did. Everything else is just what I've been up to. Akira, Red Dead.
Cool.
So
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that leads us into the big stuff. There's a couple other news items I threw on here before we get into the Game Awards. Nintendo shut down their creators program, so they're allowing everybody to stream their games now on YouTube, which is like unprecedented.
Took them
Nintendo
way too long, but
copyright claiming people's games or people's videos. I remember Angry Joe almost like gave up.
Oh,
on his Breath
he
of
was
the Wild review because he put it backwards, upside down. Like he could not get it uploaded. So it'll be interesting to see now what people can do with their games and new content coming onto YouTube. So, and then Epic Games, with all that Fortnite cash, decided to start their own platform like Steam, basically. And it actually sounds pretty dope. It's an 88% to 12% profit split versus Steam's 70-30. So it's going to be a rival to Steam, I think. It sucks in some senses because there's just so many launchers out there now. I'm hoping this like better split between profits encourages like bigger companies that like, okay, well, they're just going to take 12% of our profits. Then we'll just not have our own launcher and do Epic Games launcher or something.
Sure.
Instead of Bethesda and Uplay and all these things. So.
Right. Well, and I hope too that encourages, because to me, in my mind, if I know that more money is going to the devs, I'm willing to go. Yeah,
it's going to be really big for indie games, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get a lot more profit, which then they can in turn put into the game itself, rather than just giving Valve all of the money. Because I think with Steam, once you have like over 100 million downloads or something, then they kind of drop the percentages. But it basically just screws over indie devs no matter what, because they're not going to be making that kind of sales. So.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, those are the two big ones, other than the Game Awards, that I can think of.
Good deal.
So yeah, then we got the big boy.
The Game Awards
happened on last Thursday night. So it's kind of, as far as I can tell, I watched probably like 75% of it, actually. Mm-hmm. I streamed it on YouTube.
Nice.
And it's basically like the Oscars or the Grammys of the video game world. Like it's kind of just... I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be a lot cringier than it was. It was definitely still cringy. There was some stuff. There were some moments, but which is kind of to be expected with like the stereotypical like gamer fan thing.
Yep.
But overall, I think it was a cool experience. I think it's cool to see video games getting hyped up as like a bigger art form than people normally consider it to be. So it was cool. And he got the CEO of PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo all on the stage at the same time, which was a little bit awkward because they didn't actually announce anything. Like it seemed like they were building up like crossplay something or other, but it was just like this speech. But it was kind of cool because I don't think they've ever done that before. So, yeah,
awesome.
It was cool overall. I think I'd watch it again.
Cool. Well, the big winner of the night for Game of the Year, God of War. I was very. I don't want to say I was surprised, but I think Red Dead just took so much of the world by storm. Mm-hmm. Just with even people who were casual gamers didn't, I think the majority of hardcore gamers played God of War and absolutely loved it and thought it was the greatest thing ever. But I think the majority of people who just probably play Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever picked up Red Dead and were like, holy cow.
Yeah, I think the thing that probably influenced it was it's mostly like game critics that decide. And then they factor in like user votes as well. But I think the majority of people who actually get to decide are like, I think he said like 90 different game critics or something.
Okay.
People who will probably have more of an in-depth understanding of the industry, maybe.
Okay. So not just like
your standard gamer.
Sure. Cool.
Who would vote Fortnite for everything.
So Game of the Year went to God of War. I actually agree. So also on that list were Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Celeste, Marvel's Spider-Man, Monster Hunter World, and Red Dead Redemption 2. And I honestly think it needed to be God of War or Red Dead Redemption.
Those were the only two real contenders, I think.
Yep.
I haven't played any of the other ones, so I can't actually speak Spider-Man, to that. But from what I've seen, I feel like those games were just somehow revolutionary in the gaming sense.
Yes, I 100% agree. I think Marvel's Spider-Man obviously was amazing. I heard Assassin's Creed Odyssey was really good, but I also heard a lot of people critically say that it's a very well-made game, but it's also very dry and kind of boring.
Yep.
Celeste, I think, would have been cool because I know that's an indie game, and so
I think just the fact that it's on that list
is awesome.
Is cool for them.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody thought that was actually going to win.
Definitely.
I think God of War and Red Dead were just, in my mind, it was like one of those two are going to win, and whichever one wins, I will be like completely satisfied with the turnout.
Yep.
So
then next up we had Best Ongoing Game, and on that list were Destiny 2, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, Overwatch, and then Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, and Fortnite won Best Ongoing Game. Dude, I'm a little tired of it. Only because I think with Fortnite, I'm realizing, like, just interacting with some younger people of just like, that's all they know, and it's really frustrating.
Yeah,
because
it is frustrating, but I feel like it's just the new Call of Duty for the younger generation.
Yeah,
and
like, I mean, it's
even
a
our
huge
generation,
deal.
like the majority of gamers, like you talk to them and they're just like they play Call of Duty or they play Battlefield, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I feel like it's just our generation's new thing, and it helps that it's free.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think
it is frustrating though.
I think I'm salty with it because granted, that's kind of a strange list. Like, I definitely wouldn't give it to Destiny 2. No Man's Sky, I don't think should be even on there because the only reason that their game is ongoing and progressing is because it sucked when it first came out. Overwatch, I think it's a little too old. I think with it coming out in 2016, they've definitely kept it up, and it's still a lot of fun, and I love it to death, but I don't think it's innovated. And Rainbow Six, I think, again, has been really good, and they've, I have heard really good things
about it competitively.
Yeah, that it's an amazing game. But
I think the thing with Fortnite is, like, no matter how much I despise it, and I don't despise people who play Fortnite, but no matter how much I, like, despise the game and its association with, like, gaming in general, despise is a strong word, but from what I've seen, like, I in some senses I do think it deserves the award, depending on how you define ongoing game.
Yep.
Because, like, the things that Epic does for that game actually seems like a lot of companies could actually learn from the way
I 100% agree.
The way that they innovate and release, like, these new seasons and stuff. The one thing I did realize was how much Fortnite is in, like, the forefront.
Everywhere.
Because, like,
everywhere.
Every presenter who wasn't, like, a gaming personality, because they had Joel McHale, who, like, they had Joel McHale, they had Jonah Hill, and they had Brendan Urie, who's the singer of Panic at the Disco. Basically, all of them just talked about Fortnite. So, like, that's gaming to them.
Which is...
And to me, it was like, there's so much more to gaming, like, but at the same time, it's like, it's just gaming, so I guess it's not a big deal, but it is kind of frustrating.
It's just kind of surprising, honestly. Like, I feel like there are much better, more, I don't know, more deep multiplayer online games than Fortnite, and again,
I mean,
it's
even Destiny 2 in its current state, I've heard, is, like, pretty good. So it's like that game probably has more depth to it than Fortnite does.
Right,
but I think best ongoing game, like, it wasn't going to be anybody else but Fortnite.
Yeah, hands down. And it's not to hate on that too, because I don't want to make it like, because these days just don't understand anything. But I think it's one of those fatigue things where it's everywhere, and I think it's become a marketing scheme of just like, oh, everybody loves Fortnite. Let's just pump Fortnite. Like, Samsung phones play Fortnite, and iPhones, guess what else plays Fortnite? It's just like, I get it. It exists. Like, shut up. So, but anyway, sorry. I just need to get that out there.
I felt the same watching it.
Yeah.
So
then following that, we have Best Game Direction, and so we had A Way Out, Detroit Become Human, God of War, Spider-Man, and Red Dead 2. A Way Out, I don't know if I've heard a lot of.
I've heard it's good. It's co-op only. It's like a 2-player co-op game, and you're kind of like escaping prison.
Oh, I do know that one. Okay.
That one crazy dude last year did like a whole rant about EA or something, or I don't remember. He like flipped off the camera and like did this whole epic thing. They had him like present one of the awards, and it was
awesome. That's funny.
Yeah, it's I forget who developed it, but it's like a subsidiary of EA. So
cool. Yeah. And for Best Game Direction, God of War was our winner.
I think that's... Again, it was God of War, Red Dead. And I think God of War, depending on what game direction means, I'm assuming it means like literally the direction the game went from the previous title.
You sure?
And if you look at the previous God of War games, which were kind of just like, not really a console seller, but
power
more
fantasy,
just like
beat 'em up,
power fantasy, like
mess,
fun, bloody mess, slash and hack and slash.
Yeah.
And then you look at this game and you're like, what happened? Like,
yeah, that's very true.
Like, the games were fun, but this game is like, it's not just fun, but it's like a masterpiece in some senses.
Definitely.
So
cool.
But Red Dead, the same thing. I never played the first one, but from what I've seen, like, this game just took it and ran with it.
It's a very big difference.
So those two, again, it was like one of those two, I feel like.
Yep.
And I've never played Spider-Man, so again, I can't.
Yeah, and again, I don't know what game direction means. Like, I think from what you're explaining, it sounds pretty accurate, but I also know that some of those titles on there don't have prequels or ones that came before it.
Not necessarily prequels even, but maybe just like the studio itself.
Sure.
And it could be literally like, it's hard to define.
Yeah.
But
Best game direction, God of War.
Nonetheless,
I think it definitely earned that. Then best narrative. So again, on that list, we had Detroit Become Human.
It's like all the same games.
Yeah. God of War, Life is Strange 2, Episode 1, Marvel's Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2. And this one actually kind of surprised me because I've heard people rag a little bit on it, on the narrative in this game, but Red Dead Redemption 2 also took best narrative.
Yeah.
So
I haven't finished Red Dead 2 yet, but I
have heard it's very sad. Yeah. But I've also heard like... And I mean, I wonder if that's one of those things too, where it's hard because I think with God of War you had a very linear story, whereas I feel like
it's hard.
Red Dead you had a lot of like minor
it's
interactions
hard to execute a
in the
very
midst
tight
of it.
narrative in an open world setting, whereas God of War is like semi-open world, and it's easier to contain a tight narrative in a world like that.
For sure, definitely.
Again, it was kind of a toss-up between those two, and I haven't played the other three, so it's hard to comment really on it.
You're
but
like,
having played those two, it's like nothing else I've ever played. So
definitely. So following that, we had Best Art Direction, and also Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Octopath Traveler, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Return of Obra Dinn. And
I'm kind of surprised Assassin's Creed is on there.
I am too.
It's like it doesn't look that much different than any other Assassin's Creed.
It looks a lot like Odyssey,
other than graphically,
or not Odyssey. Origins. In my
unless
opinion.
they consider art direction like
graphics,
not the graphics, but more like the setting itself,
which
like
could
the
be.
way that they designed Greece.
Right.
I could see that.
I'm kind of bummed that. And the winner of Best Art Direction was Return of Obra Dinn, which I've never heard of.
I've never heard of it. It actually looks pretty dope.
I'll have to check it out.
It's like this weird, like black and white kind of like sketch.
Oh, interesting.
It's hard to describe, but I can kind of see why they picked it.
Cool.
It looks cool, but
yeah, I think runner-up. If I could have said, I wish they would have given it to Octopath Traveler, only because
I could see it.
They, I think, did a lot of cool stuff in bringing back that old school SNES style RPG art
in the new style.
Yes, with like the 3D backgrounds and things like that. That would have been really cool.
I agree. I think if art direction means more than just graphics, because obviously God of War and Red Dead
it's like
push the boundaries as far as graphics, but I think it definitely means more of like the art direction, like literally the art direction, like the styling of it. So
definitely. And then the next award, Best Score Music, we had Celeste, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Ni no Kuni 2, Octopath Traveler, and Red Dead Redemption 2. And again, bringing out that one, we had Red Dead 2, which the music in that game is incredible.
It's next level,
it's absolutely incredible.
God of War, I think the music was good, but I don't remember much of it.
It doesn't like give you the same chills.
It doesn't give me the same feeling that I get playing Red Dead and just riding on your horse and those like violins and stuff. Just
yeah, I don't know Ni no Kuni or Octopath's or Celeste's soundtrack, and I haven't played God of War yet. But Spider-Man, again, not that it was bad, but I think it was the Marvel like
your
kind of build up
exactly.
Which it's a lot of fun when you're flying around fighting bad guys and stuff. But I think when you compare that to
the emotional impact
of like those Western like banjos and like the whistling and stuff like that, and just some of those songs like mid gunfight at a saloon, it's pretty dope
for sure.
And then best performance. So this is voice actor performance. So we had Brian DeChart as Connor in Detroit Become Human, Christopher Judge as Kratos in God of War, Melissanth, am I reading that right? That's kind of
Melissanthi
Mahout as Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2, and then Yuri Lowenthal as Peter Parker in Marvel's Spider-Man. And this is probably one of the lists that I think is incredible. I'm real like any of those I think did an amazing job.
Yeah, this one it becomes harder when you get down to like the nitpicky categories.
So the winner of Best Performance went to Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2, which as I just kind of sat on it, I
feel like just thinking about Arthur's voice in that game gives me the chills for some reason.
Yeah, it does. Like it's just,
and the same thing with Kratos. Like when you're playing God of War and Kratos is talking, you just like
that is
this
Kratos.
Weird feeling about it.
Yeah.
Like
it's not voice acted. Like it feels like that character, that digital creation of this human being is that person. I didn't play Detroit Become Human, but I've seen game trailers of
I'm excited
some
to
of the
play
scenes
that.
with Connor and stuff.
I got it on Black Friday. So.
Sure. But I've seen the scenes with Connor in it and just a couple of things in it. And yeah, because I think they do a lot of motion capture with the studio that makes like Detroit. I think they also did Heavy Rain as well. So I think the guy who played, Brian Descartes, I've seen the scenes. He did an amazing job. So I think he was well-deserved in that. Christopher Judge, obviously, is Kratos as well. Haven't played Assassin's Creed Odyssey yet. But I've seen some of the scenes from that with Cassandra in it, and the voice actress for that did an amazing job.
I've actually heard that like playing as a female in that game is a lot better because of the voice acting. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Because I do want to pick up Odyssey at some point. I almost picked it up on Black Friday, but I had too many other things I was
close to. But
so I'm hoping they'll have like a Christmas deal.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
And then Roger Clark is Arthur Morgan being the winner. Yes, of course. I think that was well deserved.
Just that guy's voice in real life is like soothing for some reason.
It's like it's awesome.
It's like it's similar to Arthur, but a little bit different.
Yeah, and then to be honest though, I think from my experience, I think it should have been either Yuri Lowenthal or Christopher Judge if it wasn't going to be Roger Clark. Just because having played Spider-Man next to Tom Holland, I think Yuri Lowenthal had the best.
Yeah, I think if Spider-Man was going to win anything, it would have been that one probably.
Yeah, because oh my gosh, just his, how he portrayed Peter Parker and just all the scenes and stuff. And there's such a fluctuation between emotional, angry Peter, soft, awkward, trying to figure out how to talk to Mary Jane Peter to, mid-action quip. It's just, he really did an amazing job capturing all of those. So, so that's that. And then jumping in, and I think we're going to skip some of the other ones down.
We'll skip a lot of the online mobile stuff that we don't really care about.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know what this means. Games for Impact. I don't know what it's for.
I don't know how do you judge impact? Maybe like social impact or emotional impact,
sure.
Which I can see why the game that won.
Yep.
Because of what it's about. But
yeah. So we had 11:11 Memories Retold, Celeste, Florence, Life is Strange 2, Episode 1, The Missing, J.J. Macfield, and the Island of Memories. And the winner was Celeste. And I don't know any of those games, and I haven't played any of them, but I do know that Celeste, when it first came out, made a huge splash, so I'm really glad that it won something.
And Celeste is about mental illness. Like, I think your character actually has anxiety, and it's actually like a game mechanic. Like, when your character fails too many times, they like get stressed out, and it like makes
messes
your
with everything.
Yeah,
interesting.
I think I've never played it, but that's what I've heard. So
that's cool. Yeah, so I know that's on almost every platform, I think. So definitely, I might have to give that a shot. I believe it's a platformer.
If it's on sale around Christmas, I think I'm going to buy it on the Switch.
Yeah,
I've heard it's one of the best platformers ever. Like,
wow.
Like, people have been saying on Reddit that it's like, it's got the tightest, like, best controls that are like difficult, but also you never feel like you're getting slighted by them. So
sure,
that's what I've heard. I've never played it, and I don't really like platformers that much.
Yep.
So
yeah,
but I've heard the story's really good too, and it's about mental illness. So
awesome. So we'll jump next. We had Best Independent Game, Celeste, Dead Cells, Into the Breach, Return of the Obra Dinn, and The Messenger. And, again, following up with another award was Celeste, which, good on them. I think I haven't played Into the Breach, Return of the Obra Dinn, or The Messenger, but I do know Dead Cells. I feel like one of the reasons, and maybe this is just, the media attention that these games got, that I feel like Dead Cells, again, made a bigger dent, and so that's probably would have been my follow-up, but I haven't played any other games, so I don't know what earned it. Good on you, Celeste. Congrats on pulling in those 2 awards. We're going to skip Best Mobile and Best VR. Who freaking cares?
Yeah, nobody cares. Well, people do care, but we don't.
I don't care.
And we're punks, so
yeah, we're not.
We do what we want.
We do what we want. I don't care about those.
Best action game?
Best action game. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Dead Cells, Destiny 2, Forsaken, Far Cry 5, Mega Man 11, and Dead Cells pulling in the win. That's kind of surprising with some of those games.
I've never played it, but I feel like it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that it won.
Definitely. So that was actually pretty surprising, but not overly, but just enough that it's like, I'm really surprised that they didn't give it to one of those AAAs on that list. But again, I think it's awesome that we're seeing more indie games kind of holding their own.
That can hold their own
critical,
against some of the AAA
these critical
titles,
things.
Yeah.
I hope that really gives a better swing
for sure
in the future. Best action adventure game: Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, Red Dead 2, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider and God of War pulling in the win for best action adventure game.
I think that makes them tied now for between God of War and Red Dead. I think they're tied now for.
Yep. That's tough. I think I haven't played it yet. All those games on that list are dynamite. So that's
action
tough.
Adventure wise, especially.
Dude, I don't know how they picked some of these because
I know
some of them it was like it's hands down it's this, but this one like Spider-Man was so fluid. Assassin's Creed I've seen looks like a lot of fun. Red Dead is such a great shooter. God of War I heard has some of the best like brawler fighting mechanics. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider I know like the stealth and some of the puzzle solving and things like that. So that's
for sure.
Oh goodness. And this was kind of an interesting list, but best role-playing game.
So
I
don't know if I agreed with this one.
Dragon Quest XI, Monster Hunter World, Ni no Kuni 2, Octopath Traveler, and Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. And Monster Hunter World took that one.
I didn't really know that Monster Hunter World was a role-playing game.
I didn't think so either.
But maybe I've never played it, so maybe it is.
Well, it's like a boss hunter game.
Has become pretty
more wide,
pretty broad. Yeah.
So part of me wishes that Dragon Quest XI or Ni no Kuni 2 would have taken it, just because I know Zach has talked up Ni no Kuni 2 a lot, and just the art style, and there's a lot of aesthetic to it. I would have mind.
I feel like
would have been awesome. I haven't played Pillars of Eternity 2, but I do know
I've heard
that's
really good too.
Yeah, so
and Obsidian, so
I'm kind of bummed that Monster Hunter World took it, only because I know that Monster Hunter is such a big franchise that it would have been cool to see some of these other games. But I also have heard from fans of the series that
I've heard it's one of the best representations of the game.
And
I know people were skeptical of it
because
they're like, it should be on the Nintendo or whatever.
Right.
So I don't know. It's hard to say because I haven't played any of these.
Yeah, that was one of those games that I almost tried to convince all you guys to pick up. So
you did, because I think you played the demo or something, or something
it was,
like that.
And I was like, "Oof, this would be a lot of fun." But I was like, I don't have the patience to play by myself. But
and it's really hard to get. It's really hard to play online games.
Oh
and schedule okay, when are we gonna play? And
definitely.
Stuff, so.
Best fighting game. Y'all know Smash Bros, but it came out too late, so whatever.
If Smash was out, it would have got best fighting game.
Absolutely. But on that list, you had BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, Dragon Ball Z Fighter, Soul Calibur 6, and Street Fighter 5 Arcade, and Dragon Ball Z Fighters, which is awesome. I'm really stoked that
I've never played it,
won.
but I'm stoked that DBZ got up there.
I've played it a couple times with Zach on the PS4, and what makes me excited about that winning, and I hope newer like original fighting games that come out take this into account, is Dragon Ball Z Fighters makes you feel really good if you don't know how to play a fighting game. And granted, I think the rewarding part of a lot of those other fighting games on that list is you do have to learn, and same thing with Smash. Like the meta is so deep, it's almost mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But you can hand a controller to your friend who's never played it before and kind of teach them some basic things. Like, here's how you roll, here's a smash attack versus a regular attack, here's the jump and the dodge. And as long as they know those things, they can hold their own, and they'll get, probably trounced in the long run. But it has a really
deep competitive scene as well.
And so I feel like that's what I loved playing Dragon Ball Z Fighters, is Zach, who had played it for like 8 hours already, and I just jumped in. Like, yeah, he eventually did win, but I felt like it didn't feel like one of those games where it's like, okay, I need all right, I'm dead. Like, where
for sure.
One of my friends I work with, he's like won Soul Calibur championships and stuff. So actually we went to Geeks Mania in Madison one time, and he was like, you want to play Soul Calibur? I was like, dude, I want to see how good you are. Just trashed me.
Snap.
One of those like juggle combos where you're like, dodge,
like, you can't do anything, literally.
Dodge. And I'm dead. So, but I thought that was funny. And then best family game, Overcooked. I'm not going to run through all the
Overcooked 2 got it.
Yeah, Overcooked 2, great, good for you.
Best strategy, Into the Breach.
Into the Breach.
I don't know what any of those games
Best
are.
Sports racing game, again, no one cares, but Forza Horizon. Verizon. Way to go, Verizon. Get that coverage. Best multiplayer game, Fortnite. Again, the games on that list, I'm not too surprised.
Not a surprise.
Yeah, Black Ops, Destiny 2, and Monster Hunter are on that. Not super
I was surprised about this next one a little bit.
Yeah, so Content Creator Stream of the Year, Ninja...
Oh, not that one. I guess the next one
Lupo, Myth, Willy Rex. I don't know anything about...
It was literally Fortnite Player of the Year.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
every person was just a Fortnite streamer.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was just like, this is pointless. And everybody knew Ninja was going to win, because they did a poll beforehand, and he was like, 50% of the votes are looking like they're going to Ninja. And we're like,
Yeah, like
okay,
yeah,
I guess he wins.
Yeah, so I'm stoked for him because I know he's been working pretty hard and doing that, and so I'm stoked for him. Best esports game of the year.
I was a little
surprised. Really
surprised.
interesting to me.
I was a little surprised.
I will say I'm really, really, really excited that it won.
I'm glad.
I'm biased, but
I'm glad Overwatch beat Fortnite just because I wanted Fortnite to lose a little bit.
Yes, yeah, and so best esports game of the year went to Overwatch, and some of the games that were also on that list were CS:GO, Dota 2, Fortnite, and League of Legends. Kind of surprised that Fortnite didn't win, but I think it's partially because the big thing that I think, and this is why I'm really excited that it won, is I think the big reason that it won best esports game of the year is because of Overwatch League and all the money that Blizzard's been pumping into that to make it a full-on sport. And I think there's 4 teams coming into the league this coming year. So that might be one of those things. Like I watched it on and off last year.
Fortnite has like actual
it's
esports.
Just,
so it's kind
they just
of
have like tournaments and stuff.
It might come down to the definition whether who fits it best.
Right. I think all those games are like obviously esports and there's competitive scenes, and
CS:GO
I think whenever there's money involved,
League is huge, Dota is huge.
Yes,
so.
I think what has me excited is I really, really, really enjoyed following the Overwatch League last year, and it was actually one of those games that because I play it and it's pretty easy to get into. It's a lot of fun to watch, especially with how frantic it is and all the staff that they have working, the announcing and the play calling and stuff like that are really, really good and really fun. Like it was one of those things where I was like, man, this is what I miss like with like the sports scene is just, you know, kind of like following and just kind of seeing what happens and the competition. And I think just seeing the technical skill too, like some of the guys who would come in, like there was this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he plays for New York Excelsior, which is the New York team. And he was a McCree main and came in on this one map and I kid you not, like over the course of like 30 seconds scored like 4 headshots to take out a team kill. And it was just bananas. But like you can hear the crowd like screaming in the background and the announcers are going crazy. And I think Pine was his name. He's the player. But it's a lot of fun. I'd highly recommend if people are interested in any sort of watching competitive esports at all, definitely check out Overwatch League. I think it starts up again in February.
Okay.
But they have like a whole app that you can do. They've got a bunch of teams that you can follow. My family, like Gloria, Zach, and my 2 younger cousins, we had a wager going where we like picked our teams that we followed, and whoever won like got a T-shirt. Like the other people had to pitch in to get them like a T-shirt or something. And so I think LA Valiant or no. Spitfire won? I think London Spitfire won, but definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun to watch, and it's a very cool esport, and just like seeing some of the technical stuff and just the positioning and things like that. So I really enjoyed it having played it. And then esports athlete of the year went to Dominique Sonic Fox McLean, which he's a Smash fighter, I think. Smash Bros. Or is he everything? I don't know.
DBZ. I think
was it DBZ?
I think he plays DBZ now, from what I can tell. But before that came out, it was I forget what it was.
Okay. I don't follow the esports athlete.
Yeah.
So and I honestly don't know any of those.
Oh no, it was Injustice Mortal Kombat.
Oh okay.
And then I think this year he switched over to Fighters. Maybe.
Got it.
I went on his Twitter because everybody on Reddit was like cringing at him or something. We don't need to get into that, but I went to his Twitter to kind of see what it was about, and I think he said something about Mortal Kombat and Injustice, and then Fighters.
Because I know I think
he's like
actually
the best
recognized.
In the world or something
I
like
thought I had recognized his name from somewhere because I remember Sonic Fox popping up, and like I'd watched like videos of how to play some character in a fighting game. So Mortal Kombat sounds right, but that's it. That's the game awards, and we kind of sprinted through that. So
sprinted as fast as we could, even though there's a lot of them.
Right.
But other than that,
some big things that did pop up, which I know it's tradition, I believe, at the Game Awards that they announce some big things.
Yep.
And there was some freaking dope stuff that popped up that I am unbelievably excited for.
Yeah. I think the first thing was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Yes, which is a Switch exclusive, which, holy crud, I'm
kind of surprised by that. I don't know why they're
doing
it. Maybe there's some deal that Nintendo struck with them.
Well, I mean,
because I feel like graphically it would look interesting on.
Oh, I'm sure it would look amazing. I think
PS4,
what I wonder is if, because I know this happened with Bayonetta, is Microsoft dropped it and Platinum dropped it, I think. Or no, Platinum makes it. So I think Microsoft dropped it because originally Bayonetta 1 was only on 360. And so I think what happened was Xbox was basically like, no, we're not funding Bayonetta 2. And Nintendo was like, can we get the rights? And they were like, yeah, sure, have
I'm
them.
guessing
and
that's
so
what
then
happened
that's what
here.
happened.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo were the only ones who funded the game, and so that's why it's a Switch exclusive.
It looks like it'll be fun. I'm kind of curious to see how much it is, because
you guys need to come over sometime and play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. I have them on. You can get a bundle, I think, on PSN and Xbox Live for like $50, I want to say. So it's both games. They're not like remasters or anything, but they like look a little bit updated in comparison to like the 360 and the PS3 versions.
For sure.
I think I praised them like a number of episodes ago.
Because didn't you play as Moon Knight or something?
Yes. Yeah. What I love about them is, one, I love brawler games, and it's like a 3D like fighting brawler.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the perfect low key like party game if you have friends who are huge fans of the Marvel universe. And the dope thing is, especially with the first one, is they have such a huge roster. Like, it is ginormous.
Oh, dude, just in the trailer, I was like, at first I thought it was going to be like, oh, we're bringing Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale or something to the Switch, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because the first thing they revealed in the trailer was Guardians.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden it just like keeps expanding, and all these, I'm like, what, Wolverine? And like all the Thanos and all these people just started popping up, and I'm like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah, so I'm really excited for that. Dope. So I love Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2.
I'm curious to see how much it is. I think I'd pay $20-$30 for it maybe. I don't know if I'd pay full price, but
I would, only because it's very deep, and I think that's again what I love about the first two, is that there's like a whole combo system. Each character has their own style and like special attacks. And the other thing is, because I usually have played it by myself, is you get a team of 4, and so if you want, you can pick whoever the frick you want. Like, doesn't matter. So I pick all my faves. Like,
do they have villains in there too?
You can't play as villains.
Okay, so like no Magneto or...
No, you can't play as Magneto. I take that back.
I guess he's technically of the narrative, a villain sometimes.
I want to say you can play as Magneto, but...
Or like Venom.
I don't know if Venom's in it. So that's the thing, is it's like semi-limited, so it's not every character ever, but it's like the majority of the characters...
Well, maybe in this one they introduce more. Maybe you can play as Thanos.
More.
Dude, that would be dope.
Dude, that'd be gnarly.
Just boom.
Yeah, exactly.
Win.
Like, win the game. But yeah, so I'm super excited for that, because it is a very fun game, and I know the last time that those came out, it was like the early 2000s, I think. So stupid long time ago.
It's been a long time.
Yep. Jumping in the next one, and it cracks me up because it makes the ending for the game that much.
I mean, he literally spoiled the ending at the award show. He was like, now we all know that Far Cry 5 ends with the world getting nuked. And I was like, isn't that a spoiler for your game?
Yeah, like technically if you didn't play it. But there's a new Far Cry coming out. Far Cry New Dawn coming in March, I think I wrote down.
It's early, yeah. I don't remember exactly
early,
when it is.
Early 2019. There are a lot of things that...
I have hesitations, but it looks fun.
Oh, I have no hesitations at all. And I know
I figured it would be the opposite. Here's my hesitation.
Go for it.
One, it's really soon after the last game, and I'm afraid it's going to pull off like the Ubisoft thing where it's the same game. And maybe it is. Maybe it's something that they wanted originally in their original plan for Far Cry 5 was to add a smaller aspect, maybe post-apocalypse. Sure. And they're like, well, that's just too, like, we can't do that in time or whatever. And so this is maybe then they spent the next 6 months or whatever. I don't remember when Far Cry came out, but that's my biggest hesitation, is it's coming out so quickly after the last one, and I don't want it to be like the Assassin's Creed thing where like, oh, we're just going to release a new Far Cry every year, and which I guess they've always kind of done, but yeah, that's my biggest hesitation. And 2, it kind of looks like they're just copying Rage 2. Like the color palette and everything is just like, this is like, it looks like you're just jumping on the Rage 2 like post-apocalyptic Mad Max hype thing a little bit, which isn't inherently a bad thing. I don't know. But those are my 2 biggest hesitations with it. And otherwise, like when I first saw it, I was like, one, Coach is gonna love this.
Oh,
like,
freak yeah!
My
dude.
first thought was like, Coach is gonna love this. And 2, I was like, I'd probably buy this. I'll probably buy it on like a Black Friday sale and play it, because I love post-apocalyptic stuff, even if it's not like highly rated. Like I think it'd be a fun game. So
yeah,
those are my hesitations.
Definitely no, and I think those are all super valid. And I think there's a lot of, I think people's hesitations are totally warranted in the sense of like how the gaming, not just Ubisoft, but just how the gaming community or the gaming production cycle has been for a lot of titles, of just like, hey, and here's this other thing, and it's like, didn't this just come out? And like this is the a lot of scammy stuff. I think what makes me excited about this is, one, my analysis from it is that this was the plan all along, and that part of me wonders that this is like a full-on continuation where maybe they had a whole nother story planned, and they were just like, instead of just kind of ending it here, or like, we have this whole narrative thing written, let's just make another game out of it and send it out.
The thing that does interest me with it is I don't think we've had a good post-apocalyptic game where the game takes place like in the immediate aftermath.
Right.
And that's the thing that interests me about this. And then also kind of like the sprinkling in of lore from the world previous to the nukes. Like you see like the father was right and different things.
And little
Easter
see like
eggs.
the thing at the end where he like regrets it?
Yeah.
I'm all about it. And
I think if they do it right, it could be interesting.
Yes. And I think that's where the concerns coming in, I think, are totally valid, is if they do it right, it's going to be really cool. And I think it's going to come across as you just made so much stuff that you didn't want to cut something out, so you made an additional thing that we can get. Mm-hmm. But I think if they don't do a good job with it, it's just going to seem like DLC, essentially, instead of a standalone game.
I'm curious to see what the pricing will be.
$40.
So in that sense, it's like, that's kind of a smart move.
And
with GCU, it's like $30.
Exactly. So I'm going to get it for like, closer to like $30. So for me, I'm getting a full-on Far Cry game for $30 that's new, and it's got other
there
stuff.
Wasn't anything about multiplayer in this, is there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's at least not from what I see.
It seems like the kind of game they would add multiplayer to.
Yeah.
But
I think I think if they would have priced it at $60, that would have made me a little like
okay, maybe let's wait a little bit.
I don't know how this. I think that would come across more as a cash grab.
Yep.
But the fact that they're setting it at $40, which is $20 under price, which for a lot of people is like, oh, it's not that big a deal. It is when you have 76 that came out, and with the stuff that's happened, and that was at a $60 price tag. And this game that's coming out that was probably planned to come out after,
a similar sort of
quickly,
thing,
exactly. And I think it's a full year, so it's not, because I think Far Cry 5 came out in like March. This year.
I think they do have multiple teams, because like Primal was obviously developed by a different team.
Exactly.
So maybe their alternate B team or whatever was developed. Not B team in the sense that they're worse, but like their alternating
it's going to be new.
So
and
that's just a theory.
Right. And the follow-up, and my last point too, is that the reason I love the Far Cry games is they're just narratively interesting enough, with enough coherence, that I want to play through it and see what happens. They're not mind-bending, they don't break your brain, but they're just interesting enough, and the villains are really fun, and the world is crazy and chaotic, that it's enjoyable, and they're relatively short too, so like you can just kind of jump in and get through what you want. And I feel like every time I bought in a Far Cry game, I've come away like, that was good. Like I was completely satisfied with my experience. So it's kind of like that Marvel consistency to me, in a way, where it's like, yes, it's going to be the exact same thing in a way as 5 and 4 and 3, but I know that it's going to be just different enough that I'm going to have a blast, and it's going to be a good time, and I'm going to get exactly out of it what I'm paying for it. And so I think from that level,
that makes sense.
I'm excited for just playing through more of 5, because I loved 5. That was probably it's my favorite one out of the series. So just with the updates and how graphically good it looks, and then I'm curious with these new villains that are coming in, like these, I think they're sisters or twins.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see like what their beef is, and they seem to be after, their whole mentality is like, they're the only resource that's really left is control, and so they're trying to just take everything and own everything, so that they kind of are on top of this rebuilding world. So I'm curious to see if all of a sudden you team up with the father, which would be kind of an interesting dynamic, or just what the heck is going to happen, because it is an
interesting dynamic, because the whole father thing was like, come to me and like we'll all live peacefully in the afterlife, basically.
Right.
And like that did not happen.
Like, that did not happen.
It's just evil.
Exactly.
It's worse. So
yeah. So
it'll be interesting to follow.
Definitely.
And you'll have to tell me how it is.
Yep,
so.
for sure. So
what else
enough
we got?
About that. We got Hades by devs of Bastion, which is a indie title that is well acclaimed. I haven't played it, but I've heard it's fantastic. So I'm curious to see what happens with that.
The Hades one looks kind of interesting. Definitely.
Crash Team Racing remaster.
The king is back, baby.
No. If it ain't kart, it ain't nothing.
It's finally time for somebody to dethrone Mario Kart. once and for all.
If you buy it, I will play it with you. And if it is objectively better than Mario Kart, I will admit it.
You will admit it.
But if it's not,
you will admit it.
I will stick to my guns.
You will stick to your guns. Whether or not it's better, I will stick to my guns. So I don't have the same honesty that you have.
We've reached an impasse.
So yeah, they're remaking Crash Team Racing. It's not technically a remaster. It's like the same as Spyro and Crash, I think. So they're like rebuilding it from the ground up, which looks dope. I mostly like it more just because I grew up playing Crash Team Racing and I never had a Nintendo. So yeah, I'm excited for that. It looks fun.
Yep.
And I'm hoping it's following the trend of being $40 and not $60.
That would be cool.
So yeah. Next up is, The Outer Worlds by Obsidian. It's Obsidian's next role-playing game. I don't think it's open world because they specifically don't say open world role-playing game. They say single-player story-driven role-playing game, which in my mind is like, bing! Like, that's exactly what I want.
Right.
So it looks dope. Like, it's basically like the Fallout that people actually wanted. And it was funny watching the presentation because, like, the way they presented it was like, from the original creators of Fallout and from the developers of Fallout New Vegas.
And everyone's like,
dang. And everybody's like,
shots fired.
So it kind of felt like a little bit of a middle finger to Bethesda, or like a
good.
It's like, oh, you people want something like actually good? All right, here we got something for you. Like a little wink.
Good. I hope it murders Bethesda's version. So
and yeah, to explain what it is, it's hard. It's actually kind of hard to explain. It kind of looks like it's got the kookiness almost. It looks like of Borderlands, maybe like the weird corporations in that game. It kind of looks like it has that like level of kookiness.
Sure.
And then kind of like the aesthetic of like the old Fallout, like New Vegas and Fallout 3 almost. Mm-hmm. But actually it's in the Unreal Engine 4, as opposed to the Gamebryo engine, which is dying on its last leg. And it's like a space exploration, like almost like Mass Effect-y type role-playing game. And it specifically says story-driven role-playing game, so that's enough to get my ears peaked. So I'm
Dunzo, baby.
I'm definitely pre-ordering that one.
Cool.
So, and I might be just as excited for that as I am for Cyberpunk. So
cool. And then let's jump through the smaller ones first, before, and then we'll come back to that bigger chunk in the middle. So Last Campfire, which is going to be made by Hello Games, who made No Man's Sky. I think there's a lot of interest around it, but I think there's also a lot of skepticism just from
it looks like it could be a fun little game that I wouldn't pay more than $10 for. Like, it looks like the game that takes like maybe 2 or 3 hours to complete, and it's like super heartfelt, and you're like, oh, that was fun, and that was awesome. Definitely. But I'd never play it again.
Yep. Psychonauts 2, so follow up to the... What era was that?
PS2.
I think that's PS2 era. Yeah. Psychonauts, which is like a platformer. I actually have it on the PS4, so I've played it for like an hour and a half. Okay. So it's very weird and very just like 90s goofy, classic. Like just kind of like almost creepy, borderline creepy, but it's a very fun game. It's very I don't know, it's just one of those unique games that just kind of sticks with you. So I think a sequel is going to be super cool, especially with updated stuff. Rage 2, I
think I'm going to buy that game, to be honest.
I will probably pick up Rage 2 just because I feel like I've been playing so many action fighter brawler games that I just want a good shooter that isn't...
And it's made by it's collectively made by Avalanche, which makes some of the craziest open world games, which is Just Cause, I think, right?
Yep.
And then id Software, which
made Doom,
which was like the creators of the first-person shooter genre with Doom, and they made the most recent Doom, which I've heard has some of the best shooting mechanics in a game.
Gnarly.
So you put those two together, like
it's gonna be
open
bonkers.
World, first-person shooter.
Bonkers.
It's kind of like Borderlands in that it has like the Mad Max psycho crazy vibe.
Yep.
And like it's just punk, and like the color palette is like pink and bright
stuff
greens
just
and
blowing
like,
up
and things blowing up, but with like pink
explosions.
Like it just
I'm stoked.
It looks like the kind of game that I would actually enjoy.
Yep. So I will most likely be picking up Rage 2. We already talked about Joker being announced for Persona 5 or from Persona 5 and Smash. New Dragon Age teased, which I'm really excited but really apprehensive because I think BioWare's still working for EA, and it hurts my soul.
The thing that excites me about it is shows that even with Anthem existing, BioWare hasn't completely given up on like
their
other
IPs,
things.
yeah, their other big stuff.
Because Mass Effect kind of got pocketed for a while, so I'm hoping they don't screw Dragon Age up and then pocket that as well.
Yeah.
Because they kind of already did, I've heard, with Inquisition. It wasn't like what past Dragon Age games were in some people's minds, so hopefully they... I don't know. But they didn't show like anything. It was just... they didn't even say Dragon Age. I kind of inferred that it was Dragon Age, and I didn't get what the little slogan was. And Evan was watching it with me, and she's like, what does that mean? I'm like... To be honest, I have no idea, but I'm assuming it's Dragon Age because I had heard rumors that was going to be announced. So.
Yeah, and honestly, like I played a good amount of Inquisition, and it's a lot of fun. Like I
played the first couple hours, and it was fun.
I probably got like 20, 30 hours into it, and it's long. Like so, I was like just scratching the surface. But I think what I liked about it is that was one of those where I set the difficulty very low, and so you're able to just kind of fly through stuff. And I think I really enjoyed the like narrative aspects and the things that you got to do, and it felt like more like this is what I think channeled the vibe for me. Is it had kind of like a Fable 2, Fable 3 vibe for me in terms of just like you're managing a kingdom, you have to make some decisions, you're using your assets, you kind of get to go on some missions and decide to do some stuff. And I think that feeling, like I love those kind of like you're in charge sims. Like that's why I really liked. Which is Andromeda
a lot of the reason why people didn't like Inquisition.
Right, which I was like, for sure. So again, it's like, people are going to hate whatever.
Exactly.
But, so I'm excited. I'm excited fingers too. Crossed. And then lastly, we got a story trailer for Anthem. And so you noted that this piqued your interest.
It piqued my interest a little bit. I feel like they said it was a story trailer, but the story I still don't fully get it, other than it's just like a generic, like, we're the good guys and there's bad guys out there that we need to go find and take out. So it's like...
And part of me wonders if they're doing that in a smart way to not give too much away, just because of trailer stuff tends to ruin everything.
I think it piqued my interest in the sense that it showed that they're actually like making an effort for there to be a story, but I don't know if I trust that. I think that I haven't, at least in the past couple of years, I haven't seen like this sort of model actually come to fruition on release. Like Fallout 76, Destiny 1 and 2, Division 1. Like, I feel like we haven't seen a game that promises these sorts of things
and actually
do what they say they're going to do until like 2 years later or whatever.
Yep.
So it's kind of like that's my hesitation. And maybe since it's BioWare doing it now, but I mean, it was Bethesda doing it, and it was Bungie doing it, and it was Ubisoft doing it. So like those were all companies that we thought we could trust too. So it's kind of like, I don't know. That's probably the reason I won't buy it on launch. I'll probably wait to see.
I might give it a week.
See some reviews and kind of see what people who are in that scene, like Destiny and stuff, feel about it.
Yeah.
And then go from there, maybe.
Yeah, I'll probably wait a week on it and just give some time and wait for the trusted people to say, like, hey, if you enjoy these general loot shooters, you like it, but if it's just another loot shooter, if I hear anything that remotely kind of says that, then I'm out. Like, and not because I don't think I would enjoy it, but I don't have the time to play games to grind for gear. Like,
I think my perspective with games like this is, as long as there's enough story content and enough engaging material that lasts me 30, 40 hours, I'll buy it and I'll play it as long as it's good. And I don't need that games as a service model. Like, I'll play the 30, 40 hours and I'll put it down, sort of thing. And then I'll feel like I got my money's worth.
Yeah.
Whereas with these kind of games, it's basically like they have to do the things that keep the longevity of the game.
Exactly.
Versus the things that people like us would want.
Right.
So it's hard finding that balance. So.
Yeah. And it's the other thing that I think that's difficult too is it is one of those games where I think as a crew, if we all picked it up, I would be 100% down with it, just because part of me, I think, is really interested in how they like Division is like a third person over the shoulder running through New York, similar setting feel, and whereas this is you're basically flying around in different variants of Iron Man suits, and it's
in got like a fantasy setting
too. But it's got a very Mass Effect vibe with a different tinge
with
to
like
it,
Dragon Age,
right? And so I think that is what has me really excited. Is I really loved how Andromeda felt with the shooting and stuff. So to me, and especially if this is, I love anytime I get to customize my own stuff, have my own character, do my own things, whatever. So I think if I played with other people, I would probably enjoy it right off the bat. But again, I think like you're saying, I don't know if there's enough there to keep me glued to the story itself or just to the game in general versus, hey, let's go get legendary gear. And I can't, that's just not my bend. So,
yeah, like we have too many other games and
right,
comics
exactly.
and books and movies and TV
by the time it's coming out, like Kingdom Hearts 3 will have been out for only a month. Like there's a couple other games.
And the new Metro game comes out in February, which I'll probably pick up.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so I don't know. I really, really hope it just kills all these other games as a service models, and that,
and maybe they do it right this time. Maybe they've gathered industry feedback from people and they've figured out a way of doing it right on the get-go.
Exactly. Yeah,
but,
and it could be, because I've heard a lot of people who have been really apprehensive the entire time, being like, "It's looking really good. It's looking even better." And I think, but every single one of those people that I've heard on watching YouTube videos and stuff that have been talking about it are still like, "But I'm not going to trust it until it is in my hands and I get to play the whole thing."
The nice thing is they started doing the alpha test already. And I've seen like Skill Up, the guy I was talking about before, he got to play the alpha, and a couple other people have gotten to play the alpha. They can't say anything because of NDA and stuff, but it shows that they're actually like planning way ahead of time for issues, whereas with Bethesda it was like a month before, and it was more just a marketing beta rather than an actual like, hey, let's find all the issues and fix things.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be, because I think they did the alpha and then they're going to do a beta where it's more general sign up. So maybe if we can get into that, that'd be kind of cool.
Do you know when
test it out?
That comes out?
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I think it's in the next month or two.
We can look into it in a second.
So yeah, that'd be kind of cool to get into and get a feel for it. And it's definitely not, like, there probably won't be a lot of story stuff in the beta, I would guess. They're probably just trying to iron out server issues and different big bugs that are hard to catch in a development setting, because you don't know what people are going to do online.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those where I think it could be a lot of fun playing online with friends, but I think I'm realizing that too with, like, even, I really am excited for the Division 2, but I don't know. I don't think I'm going to pick that up for myself, because I think the fun of those games comes in playing with other people and doing a lot of those things that get harder, and I just don't have the patience to sit and
I don't have the patience, but I also just don't have the time. Like, I would rather spend 100 hours on 3 or 4 games than 100 to 200 hours in one game just to grind out loot.
I agree.
And I get that that's some people's thing, because like if you only play one game and you're getting 200, 300 thousands of hours out of it, like that's a good thing.
More
like,
economical.
You only
than
paid
us.
$60 for that thing,
right? Exactly.
Plus the $150 or whatever Destiny 2 charges you.
Right.
But in my mind, it's kind of like I would rather just not even get into it, because I know if I get into it, because I've played MMORPGs before and I've put days worth of time. Like, I think RuneScape, I got like 6 days total worth of time, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like when you factor in, well, no, I don't remember, but when you factor the hours out, you're like, frick.
You're like, oh, don't know.
And so like I know that if I do get into those things, I'm gonna get addicted to them, and just like that's all I'm gonna want to play. And I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna keep my 100-foot pole, and I'm gonna
healthy distance.
I'll try out the story. I'll play it a little bit. Like I gave Division a shot, but I bought it on Xbox once everybody was done with it, and then I gave Destiny a shot, and it was fun. But again, like I kind of just find myself thinking like, I'm not the target demographic for these games. Like I don't like just grinding for loot, like,
or just and maybe it's even not just grinding for loot, but it's just playing one singular game. I think those games are incredibly designed for people who really enjoy one singular experience for like 4 months. Because I think even with like Warframe, I really want to try and get into Warframe, but from what I've heard, even that as a free-to-play game is very loot and grind designed, and I'm not interested in playing that game for like 4 months to get all the cool skins or whatever, the different Warframes, and I'm just like, I'd rather spend 40 of that playing God of War, 40 of that beating, Deus Ex, 40 of that playing Kingdom Hearts or whatever. And but
it's all about
whatever your
figuring
taste
out what
is,
to spend your time
whatever floats
in,
your boat.
Whatever
floats your boat.
Whatever floats your boat.
You know what floats our boat is where you can find our podcast. It's out there on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, and YouTube. That's a big one though. What else we got? We got merch. We got those $silver t-shirts up. Those legendary band tees. from the silver dollars.
Yeah, buddy.
And we will have 2 new ones going up probably by this week. So our $25 gift card run is still going on.
Yep.
Please
shoot
us
an email at
Twitter things.
popculturepunks@gmail.com.
We know you're out there
with your favorite podcast moment, and you could potentially win a $25 gift card for Redbubble or Threadless.
Yeah, I'm gonna let all the listeners on a little secret. I have this tool that lets me see where everyone's listening from, down to the centimeter. I know where your house is.
I know where you live.
I know where you live. I'm going to come to your house and make you send an email. No, just kidding. But I definitely can see that there's people listening and out there. And so please. It would be the biggest honor.
We want to know what your favorite moments are. We want to give you
you stuff, man.
Yeah.
Let us do it.
But
until then, you can check us out on Twitter at I am Phil Sorensen, 61 Creative, C San Pellegrino, and at Chris of the Vast, who will be joining us on our end of the year. I feel like that's tradition now. Chris has to pop up on our Till Brigade and our end of the year.
Yeah. It won't be a Christmas, though. It'll be a
kind of like wrap
New
up.
New Year's
2018 hoorah.
Wrap up, yeah.
So you can check us out there and our podcast feed on Twitter and Instagram is at Pop Culture Punk. So we've been trying to post like funny photos for every episode on Instagram.
So follow us on there.
Yeah, and we'll probably start doing it on Twitter as well, but I think we get more hits on Instagram. So if you want to see some of those goofy
I do it on Facebook as well.
Posts.
So if you're following us on Facebook at Pop Culture Punks, you will see a lot of that stuff too if you don't have Insta or Twitter.
Yep.
So
yeah. And you can send emails and any questions, thoughts, concerns, or rants to at popculture. Gosh, my brain is going. You can send any of those to popculturepunks@gmail.com. We already mentioned a Redbubble store and Threadless store. We got 2 new designs up. So we've got some logo variants, our podcast logo, our pixel art logo, and 2 silver dollar band tees. And we'll have 2 more designs going up this week.
Yeah, boy.
And that's it. I don't think we have anything else. This has been our all over the board wrangling of info from the 2018 Game Awards. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a fun time doing whatever you do. And with that, we bid you the usual fun. Cowabunga, dude.